Have you ever witnessed a random act of kindness that changed everything? Stranded in the heat, it was a scorching summer afternoon in Austin, Texas. The sun blazed mercilessly over an empty stretch of rural road where a luxurious black SUV sat motionless, one tire completely flat. Inside, Henry Callahan, a successful entrepreneur in his early 60s, tapped his steering wheel impatiently. His air conditioning was barely holding back the relentless heat, and his phone screen displayed the dreaded words, "No signal." Henry wasn't used to situations like this. In his world, problems were solved with a phone call, a quick order given, and someone else would handle the mess. But here on this deserted road, surrounded by endless fields and baking asphalt, he was utterly alone. Stepping out of the SUV, Henry squinted into the distance, sweat already forming on his brow. He sighed deeply and leaned against the car, feeling frustration bubbling in his chest. Then, like an apparition rising from the shimmering heat, a figure appeared on the horizon. A young boy, no older than 14, wearing a faded baseball cap, dusty shorts, and scuffed sneakers, walked toward him. His backpack swung loosely from one shoulder, and his eyes shone with quiet determination. "What would you do in Henry's shoes?" "Got a flat tire, mister," the boy called out as he approached. Henry straightened up, feeling a mix of relief and skepticism. "Yeah, do you know how to fix one?" The boy nodded confidently. "Sure do, my dad showed me how last summer." "You got a spare in the back?" Henry hesitated but eventually popped the trunk, revealing the spare tire and a dusty toolkit. The boy sat down his backpack and knelt by the flat tire, his movements purposeful and sure. Henry stood nearby, feeling strangely useless. He wasn't used to standing by while someone else worked, especially a kid. But as he watched the boy work, loosening lug nuts and maneuvering the jack, he couldn't help but feel a flicker of admiration. "What's your name, kid?" Henry asked. "Jason," the boy replied without looking up. "Almost done, mister, won't take long." True to his word, Jason worked swiftly. In less than 15 minutes, the spare tire was securely in place. Jason wiped his hands on his shorts and stood up, giving Henry a small, proud smile. "All set, mister, you're good to go." Henry reached into his pocket, pulling out his wallet. He thumbed through a stack of crisp bills and held out a few 20s. "Here, kid, take this, you've earned it." But Jason took a step back, shaking his head firmly. "No, sir, I didn't do it for money, just glad I could help." Henry froze, the money still extended in his hand. He watched in stunned silence as Jason slung his backpack over his shoulder, gave a small wave, and started walking back down the road. For a long moment, Henry stood there, holding the money, staring at the shrinking figure of the boy. He couldn't remember the last time someone had done something for him without expecting something in return. As Henry climbed back into his SUV and continued his drive, Jason's face stayed with him, the calm confidence, the humility, and the refusal to accept payment. It felt different. It felt real. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe to BUP Stories for more heartfelt tales. Now, let's see what happens next. Searching for Jason, that evening, Henry sat in his lavish downtown penthouse, surrounded by polished wood, leather furniture, and an impressive skyline view. But despite the luxury, the space felt cold, silent, and hollow. He poured himself a glass of whiskey and stared out at the glittering city lights, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop thinking about Jason. There was something about the boy's genuine kindness that stirred something in Henry, something he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, Henry canceled his meetings and climbed back into his SUV. He was going to find Jason. He didn't know what he'd say or even what he'd do, but he knew he couldn't just let the moment pass. Driving back along the same dusty road, Henry asked at gas stations, diners, and roadside shops. Most people shook their heads, but finally, an older woman at a small cafe spoke up. "You might be talking about Jason Kell, lives out in the old Keller farm with his mom, it's just a couple of miles down that way." Following her directions, Henry found himself in front of a modest farmhouse, paint peeling from the walls and an old tire swaying gently in the breeze. The front porch was cluttered with garden tools and a broken lawn chair. Henry hesitated at the door before knocking. After a moment, the door creaked open, and a woman in her late 30s appeared. She looked tired but kind, her hair pulled into a loose bun. "Can I help you?" Hi, I'm Henry Callahan. I believe your son Jason helped me yesterday with a flat tire. Her face softened instantly. That sounds like Jason, he's always helping someone, come on in. Inside, the house was humble but clean, with worn furniture and faded curtains. The smell of homemade bread lingered in the air. Jason emerged from a side room, his eyes lighting up in recognition. Hey, mister, you found us. Henry smiled warmly. I had to, Jason, I couldn't stop thinking about yesterday. They sat in the living room where Jason's mother, Anna, served iced tea. They chatted about life on the farm, about Jason's dreams of becoming an engineer, and about the struggles they faced to keep their small farm afloat. Henry's heart ached as he listened. Here was a family with so little, yet they carried themselves with more grace and warmth than most people Henry had met in boardrooms filled with millionaires. You've raised an incredible son, Anna, Henry said sincerely, and Jason, you're one in a million, kid. Jason blushed slightly but grinned. Anna wiped a tear from her eye, her voice trembling. Thank you, Mr. Callahan, but we do what we can with what we have. Henry sat back, staring at the cracks in the walls, the sagging porch visible through the window, and the determination in Anna's eyes. He made a decision. I'd like to help you, not out of pity, not as charity, but because it's the right thing to do. Anna started to protest, but Henry held up a hand. Please, let me do this. Building a better future. Over the next month, Henry kept his promise. Contractors arrived at the Keller farm, repairing the roof, fixing the plumbing, painting the walls, and reinforcing the foundation. New appliances were installed in the kitchen, and Jason's small room was furnished with a sturdy desk and a comfortable bed. Henry visited often, overseeing the work but also spending time with Jason. They'd sit on the porch swing, sipping lemonade, and talking about Jason's dreams of building machines that could help farmers like his family. When the renovations were complete, the Keller farmhouse stood proud, a beacon of hope and resilience. On the final day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Henry handed Jason an envelope. This isn't just money, Jason, it's a scholarship fund. Use it to follow your dreams, go to school, learn, build. Jason's hands shook as he took the envelope, his eyes wide with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Callahan, I promise I won't waste this chance. Henry smiled, his voice steady. I know you won't, Jason. As Henry drove away from the farmhouse for the last time, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, a profound sense of peace. It wasn't about wealth, success, or deals, it was about connection, it was about giving back, it was about doing something that mattered. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to BUP Stories for more inspiring stories. Remember, kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it can change everything.